Hello and welcome or welcome back to Baking Q&A with myself, Faye, and my partner, Rob.
Hello.
Today's episode, we are going to be talking about something that I've been seeing a lot across a few social media platforms is a lot of home bakers who are running businesses are feeling slightly disheartened by competitors in their area selling cakes for a much cheaper price, and they've got customers or potential customers coming to them and not saying that they won't order from them because they can go to, Mary Jane down the road for half the price. So there is a way to address this, and that's what we're going to do, because you shouldn't feel this hard.
Yeah, exactly. People are getting a bit put off and a bit discouraged, thinking, well, how am I going to compete with that? I think we said there's a couple of basics, really, first of all, that people need to take into account on their pricing. And that is that if you're constantly in a race to the bottom on pricing, it's not sustainable from a business point of view. You can't just keep cutting your prices because you're just not going to make any money doing that. And the second thing is, if you're offering cheap prices all the time, there's an indication that your product is actually cheap when it might not be. And so you really don't want to be focusing on doing that. And then the third thing is, presumably you've done a proper exercise in costing your ingredients and everything that goes into making your cakes. And there's a certain limit to what you can cut your costs to anyway. And if you take it below a certain level, you're not going to be making any profit. You might even make a loss on it. So those basic things need to be borne in mind. And we're going to sort of frame this on the basis that presumably people have done that exercise and they know what their margins are, what their costings are. So what is it people should be focusing on first of all?
Quality. So forget about price for a little bit. What you should be telling your customers, potential customers, is talk about your experience. Talk about the quality of ingredients you are using. So for example, if your cakes are made using organic, pesticide-free ingredients, that will appeal to a certain market. So you should be talking about that. You should be telling people, that your cakes are made from high-quality ingredients. It can be that you are sourcing local ingredients from local farmers in your area. That is something you have available. So, highlight that. You should also then talk about, when I say experience, how long you've been doing it, that you are an expertise in your field. You've got your reviews that you can showcase from your previous customers. Those are really important to showcase. You can talk about the level of customer service that you offer to your customers. Things like that.
I suppose you put that in a nutshell. What you're talking about is you're focusing on the value and benefits you give your customers rather than focusing on the price of what you sell at.
Correct.
So everything you do when you're speaking about your product, you're saying to your customers, look, this is what you're getting out of it because you're coming to me to buy your cakes from me as opposed to somebody else down the road who doesn't necessarily.
Like other things that I didn't just mention, it's, you could say, all your recipes are tried and tested. You don't just say, you don't accept an order from a customer that says, because I would like, I don't know, a chocolate, orange, frangipane cake, and you've never made it before. You say, I only do tried and tested recipes. So they know, again, that you're running a professional business.
Yes. So what's the if you take all that stuff there in terms of focusing on values, focusing on the benefits that you're giving your customers, what are some of the sort of processes and things that cake makers should put in place to do that?
First thing I would suggest is, if you do not have a website, set up a website, because that's your shop front. It's a place where you can have a page that talks about your experience. You can showcase your work. You can showcase all the great reviews that you have about your products. You're also able to set up a shop. So maybe to make things a little bit easier is you can either have, let's say, a set number of cakes that you offer, and you can maybe have a starting price. If you do very bespoke cakes, you might not be able to do that. They can't be able to come on your website and make the purchase. You might have to actually liaise with the customer. But if you can avoid that step, you know, you might just be able to offer cakes from a starting price. By having a starting price, people that visit your website, if they can't afford it, they won't contact you. So suddenly you've just filtered out all the customers that are not your customer. So you don't have to worry about the ones that are going to go to Mary Jane down the road.
Yeah. So as you say, it's about showcasing all those things we speak about, making sure it's explicit on your website, the value, the benefits, the qualities that you offer that make you unique, essentially.
You should actually, you should shout about your USP, your unique selling points. You know, whatever is great about you and your business and your product, you should be talking about it.
Yeah. And that's not just, I mean, that could also just be, I mean, maybe for those who are a little less experienced, who might not have the same level of reviews or certainly the sort of maybe the knowledge you get after sort of 10, 20 years doing it. It might just be about telling your story, about why you do it. What's the passion that lies behind your business? Why do you do what you do? When people see that, they get a bit more of an understanding of who you are, what you're about, what makes you tick, what makes your cakes what they are. And that's attractive for people. People like hearing people's background stories.
People love a story, you know, and if you have a great story, again, share it. It's all about sharing. It's all about being very transparent. And then people will actually, if you're transparent with them, they'll trust you.
And there's also this point as well about educating your customers. I think I touched on it before, that if people just see a price without any knowledge, then they've got nothing to gauge how that price is being reached. So if you've got your selection of cakes on your website with the prices, starting prices through to maybe some that are more expensive, with an explanation on there as to why they are what they are, why some of the more elaborate cakes cost more money because of the time they take or the ingredients they use or the specialist knowledge that you've had to learn to be able to do that. The customer then understands, I can see how you've reached that price. And they'll either like that or it's not going to be for them, but at least you've made the effort to educate them as to why you've reached the prices.
And I can say out of personal experience, when I was running my home baking business in London, I used to send a quote with 3 cakes, a lower price, a medium price, a higher price. And some customers or potential customers would come back and say, your cakes are very expensive. So I would then go back, I would explain what it entails to make these cakes. And funny enough, they chose and ordered the most expensive cake. So again, it's because I was being transparent, I was explaining. You can't expect that people who don't bake to understand, you know, how many hours it takes to make a cake.
For those that, and again, this is something you've mentioned to me when you come across these things, we can speak about all that, but for the small at-home cake business or somebody with a small team, doing that actually gets a bit more difficult when they're offering a large array of cakes.
Yes. So out of my personal experience, especially when you're starting out, you feel like you need to offer a massive range. And like you just said, you can't do everything perfectly. It's better you specialize in something that you're really good at. You don't need to offer 20 different sponge cake flavors, for example. You know, offer 6. And then there's 6 that you've tried and tested, you've got reviews for, you've had maybe people test your cakes, as in they've done a taste test, and maybe a specific design. So you're not doing the wedding cake or, you know, the novelty cakes, for instance, sugar paste, or then you're doing a buttercream vintage cake. Choose a style and choose a type of cake, and maybe the fillings, you can become a little bit more creative. Be more niche. When you look at companies that are very successful, you know, that are around today, or you have like a company, a bakery that just does choux pastry, or you have the pastel de nata. They're incredibly successful because these are people who have teams. So if you're just a one-man band, it's even more important to streamline your offering.
And we can definitely speak from personal experience on that.
Yes, we did about 5,000 different desserts at our participants.
We do a lot.
Yeah. So it's not a good idea.
No, it's not.
It can scale you at the end.
There's definitely essentially what you're saying is specialize in what you do, get really good at what you do, build a reputation for that particular product or small range of products. And then if you want to expand further down the line, you can do that. And like you said, you might have just a small selection of cakes, which is maybe your standard range, as it were. You might then offer a bespoke service if you want it, but the starting point is the standard range that come at certain prices.
And also by doing that, that means you're the only person who is doing that. And your competition is not doing the same. So then again, you stand out from the crowd.
Yes.
So which is another way of going about being a bit more unique.
Yes.
We should talk about is, of course, have your website, but if you don't have social media, every business needs to have a presence on social media. And that can be sometimes quite overwhelming because I see a lot of people trying to post on Instagram and, they say, I'm not getting anybody liking my cakes. There's no interaction. Choose a platform or try a couple of platforms that you feel that might do well or you're doing well. Don't try to spread yourself thin and try to post everywhere. It's better you post good quality content. You have to do it consistently. It takes time, but it will come. So, you'll grow your business as well through your social media platforms. And then also you can then connect with maybe other local people that might complement your business that you might be able to partnership with. We have a marketing guide that we've put together. I will put the link underneath this video so that if you need some marketing ideas to help you, have a read of that because there's some great tips.
Definitely. Very good. Key to all this is finding the right customers.
Yeah.
Because as you indicated before, some customers just aren't going to be for you. And you don't want your time or their time being wasted by toing and froing over something that they're probably not going to buy or isn't right for them. So there's this exercise really about finding the right customers and making sure that all your comms are specific to your target audience.
And it's everything we've just said. You just need to be very clear in your communication. So you've got to talk about, the level of the type of ingredients that you are using. For example, if you did children's cakes and you're only using natural ingredients and natural coloring and no artificial flavorings coloring, you are going to appeal to those parents or whoever is buying that cake for that child's party. So that doesn't speak to everybody because there'll be some people that don't care for that. They're like, I just want a cake. I want a cheap cake, But by saying I make children's cakes, with natural ingredients and that, all that information, you already are talking to a certain niche or market. And then you can apply that to whatever type of cakes.
Yes. And that obviously loops back to how your website's set up, what your social media comms are saying, so that everything is focused towards that target market with all the qualities and features that you think they will appreciate.
And also another thing is, if you are a cake maker, you should be showing photos of your final cake. Don't do videos on how to make a cake because that's not your business. Then you'll have other people coming to, for example, to your Instagram account, seeing how you're doing your cakes. So you're not teaching. So it's important, the finished product, and then talk about that finished product. Talk about the unique, ingredients or decor that you've, designed or whatever is special or interesting about. That's what you talk about. Because a lot of people share a lot of content that is irrelevant to their target market. So you've got to be specific what you share.
So if we're to sort of summarize some of the key points, what are a couple of things you would take out of all that for people to focus and concentrate on?
Be very clear in your message. Your USPs, your ingredients, your customer service and all that. Secondly, make sure you have a website. And 3, maybe just narrow your offering. Because then you don't have to think about 10,000 different things and your life becomes much easier.
Yeah.
And then you are also then known for something, a specific kind of dessert cake.
Yeah. And then it also builds confidence then.
Yeah.
Because if you say, I'm going to be a specialist in this particular area, I'm going to focus all my marketing on the value and benefits that my customers get out of coming to me. And I've done my exercise to price up my cake so I know that that's the price I get, that I can't go below a certain level, and that's the amount of money I need to charge to make money.
Yeah.
Then you can have confidence that what you've done is right. And if somebody down the road is just competing on price and just saying, well, I'm cheaper, well, good for them. Let them get on with it. The point is that you can focus on all the great things that you're able to do and are able to offer your customers, and make sure that's communicated to them.
And also don't forget, if you're doing repetitive work, meaning the same kind of cakes, you're going to get faster. So that you're going to make more money. You'll be able to take more customers on. So it's a win-win.
There we go. All right.
So, thank you very much for joining us today. Please don't forget to subscribe. We do these episodes every week, and they're always on baking, different baking topics. So